A Davar Torah is what it's called, what we do right now at this time. It literally means a word of Torah. We use words to express what is happening in the Torah portion, so when you hear it, you have a little bit of an in of what's going on. But sometimes words don't adequately express what's going on in the Torah portion. Instead, actions express. And there are two actions that will happen around the Torah service that I think are a far better Davar Torah than any words I could ever say. We have two Torah readings tonight from two different parts of Torah because we have a wedding blessing and we wanted the wedding couple to have an aliyah to Torah as an honor because the groom in that wedding couple is a child of Temple Bethel and sat here as a kid and sat here as a confirmation student and a senior and now is a groom getting married in a few weeks to an incredible bride. And that says something, that all this education that you're doing here at the synagogue matters. But it doesn't just matter to you, it matters to your parents. Because his dad grew up here at Temple Bethel. And there are people here tonight that were at Rabbi's parents' wedding that are part of Temple Bethel as well. You don't come into this alone, kids. You come into it with a whole community, and you create community with it. And so the first part of the Torah that we'll read is about all the fixed stuff, all that stuff that you had to learn again and again and again. No matter what age you are, I have no doubt you remember practicing for your bar mitzvah or bat mitzvah. And those of you who were just bar or bat mitzvah a few years ago, remember pressing rewind probably again and again and again. Back in the day, we had tape recorders and we rewound them again and again. And before that, someone learned it somehow. But there was always a repeating, a rote learning, a fixed way to do this. And so part of this Torah portion, Amor, is about the fixed things, like the holidays, like Shabbat, like all the things in Judaism that you do again and again and again. And sometimes they seem frustrating and annoying. In confirmation class, we are spending all day here tomorrow going over that confirmation service again and again and again. But sometimes it sticks. And when you leave, when you graduate, when you go out into the world, then somehow it seeps into you and who you are. And so the second part of Torah that I'll read tonight, which the confirmation students are going to bless, is this section about the olive oil, this pure olive oil that's used for lighting. Before they had electricity that could light the Ner Tamid, the eternal light, it was kindled with olive oil. Now, seniors, when you go to college, you might start to learn to cook on your own. Certainly after you graduate, like Ethan Hirsch here, you certainly have to learn to cook on your own, for sure, because there's no one else to cook for you, and you quickly realize if you buy sushi every day, your paycheck will disappear. And so the olive oil of this Torah portion, I think, becomes a metaphor for what you take from temple. Right? If you use the right amount of olive oil, you're going to find that food that could be pretty bland or pretty boring gets a little more interesting, a little more delicious. If you use too much olive oil, it's no good and it'll soak things. And if you use too much olive oil, you might set your kitchen on fire, and you don't want to do that. And so what Temple tries to do is give you that olive oil of Judaism that you take with you. Because we don't expect you every day to sit and think about what you learned at Temple Bethel. But you might come upon an ethical situation, or you might meet someone that you think you're going to fall in love with, or you might have an opportunity to celebrate a holiday. And if you take all that olive oil, all that Jewish wisdom, all that goodness, all that seasoning that we gave you here at Temple Bethel, and take it out to the world at large, I promise the world will be more delicious. It will be more beautiful. It will be more enjoyable. All this stuff that you learn is not in a vacuum. It is to make your life more beautiful. And so as we go from the blessing of a bride and groom who learned all that he could about his Judaism here at this synagogue and went out into the world and to do great things, to become an awesome lawyer, to get married to a wonderful woman, he takes with him everything that you are learning and realizing at this point as the rest of you stand on the cusp of life in front of you that is only for good.